Hey everybody, my name is Lisa Snyder. I am the co-founder and chief innovation officer of Toketivity. We are the global feminist community for active cannabis culture. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. We have a very special guest. Before I bring her on, I'd like to say shout out to Mary Janes, Oliver Amy, AJ, Glamour, Queen Ashleen, what's up Canabutta, hello Ashley Freeman, greetings, welcome, glad you're here. I'm so excited to share with you that we have a very special guest today that is here who was on Chopped 420. I'm going to introduce her in a second. But first, I want to share with you, we are having a culinary arts Toketivity social. This is happening next Wednesday, November 17th. It is from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific, and it is 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. This Toketivity social has been coined a beehive of activities by Rolling Stone and features one-on-one business feed networking, educational sessions, workshops, guest speakers, and themed community sesh rooms. You can meet and network with other cannabis loving feminists from across the globe, and you can listen in or join the live conversation via chat, audio, or video. You can RSVP for free at toketivity.com/events. We welcome all 21 plus. Yes, Heather is looking forward to the social. Me too. It's going to be amazing. Hi, Glamour. Welcome from Belgium. That's amazing. So today my very special guest that I have with me is Chef Wendy Zeng. She is the founder of Drizzle Catering and the winner of Chop 420's first show on Discovery Plus. I'm going to invite her on now. Hanging tight as we welcome. Hello, Wendy.
Hi everyone. Hi Lisa.
Good to see you.
Likewise. Look how fun our hairs look.
I know. We're like the dyed hair sisters. I am loving your dyed hair. It's like a cool, it's like teal green. It's got a little bit of yellow in there too, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mint pistachio situation.
Oh, nice. Of course. Going with the edibles, mints, and pistachio color vibes. Well, thank you so much for being on here this afternoon. We're excited to welcome you, and I know you have so many amazing things going on. So for those of you who don't know who Wendy is, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll just take it from there.
Sure, yeah. And it's funny, I'm seeing my Chef Derek and Chef Victor, who are also on Chop 420 and also winners. So thanks for coming, you guys. Good to see you. Hi everyone, I'm Chef Wendy. I live in LA and I'm a private chef. I also host a bunch of different pop-ups, namely cannabis pop-ups. You know, it's very, very special and important to me to create space, as we know that, you know, it's still a highly stigmatized, top topic, even though we know that it's something that helps so many people, and also just it's fun. You know, we create these really fun parties to bring people together so that they themselves can kind of, work on our own and internalizing stigma too. So, when I heard about the show, I was kind of actually on Chop 420, and, I was actually kind of hesitant because, so much of what we do in this community, Lisa, is like building each other up, and and I've watched like previous seasons of the show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, some of these chefs are so mean to each other. They're, and I think the show is kind of produced that way sometimes too. So it was like kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is my vibe, but I'm so glad I went because everybody else I met on the show too were, having the same kind of thoughts. And so we just kind of created a new kind of chopped experience, where we actually make friends with each other and support each other, and we stay friends afterwards too. And, we continue to collaborate and do events together. So yeah, it's just been a wonderful experience. I know you told me to intro myself, and I totally just started rambling about stuff.
That was a really good bridge with the behind the scenes of the why Chop 420. Side note, my wife and I have been loving just Chop, the TV show, for like over a decade. So it was so cool to see that launch this past 420 and to see that you were on there. That was like so fun and exciting. As a friend and supporter of yours, and also a lover of Chopped. So it's really cool to see that. I don't know if you call it corporate America, but maybe. I mean, it is corporations like Discovery and Food Network are embracing cannabis culture. It's huge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say it's definitely like more of the mainstream. They're definitely the first big network. I mean, there's been like Netflix shows and whatnot, but it's like, it's a little different from like the networks. But this was the first big network show to really embrace that. So, we hope other networks follow suit because people clearly, are interested in that type of content and diving a little bit deeper into our worlds.
Yeah, it actually forced me to buy a subscription to, I was like, I have to like watch this right now. And so I had to get a subscription to Discovery Plus, which we've been enjoying in our house and whatnot. But it was like, it's like these kind of gateway, um, TV shows that you wouldn't normally see, and they maybe can't broadcast on their regular channels that are allowing for more leeway in the cannabis space. So amazing. Heather says, I love Chop 2 and spend many a lazy weekend watching it. I need to check out the 420 version. Well, you'll see Wendy on there on the first show. Let's go back in time to when you became a chef. Can you share a little bit with everybody about who your inspiration was and why you got involved in the culinary arts?
Sure, yeah. I've been cooking for as long as I can remember. So I actually grew up in the Sichuan province in China. For those that don't know about Sichuan, Sichuan's a huge foodie region. In fact, I always say there's no concept of a foodie where I'm from because everybody is one. It's just such a huge part of our culture to enjoy food and have a very balanced life where leisure time is so valued, which is what makes our province's culture so different from so many other big metros in China. So I've always kind of grown up with around food, and we will have family dinners and things like that. And I grew up really cooking alongside my grandpa, who's probably like my biggest inspo for getting into cooking. Just see how his food was able to bring the family together every weekend. That was just really great. And so when we moved to the States, when I was 10, we moved to Memphis. Um, and, it's so like, there's not really a Sichuan food scene there. So, to kind of keep our heritage and connection to where we're from alive, we just, cooked at home all the time, and we invited other people, to come have food with us that way. So it's kind of a tradition I've just kind of carried with me to college and so on. And, once I started doing it more, I was like, hey, why don't I just, really give this thing a try? And I started hosting different pop-ups. Actually, I'm like kind of crazy because the first pop-up I did was like 100 people.
Wow.
Um, yeah, you would think, a logical person would start with like 20 or something, but
10
um,
or 5.
but I was like, no, let's just do 100 or make it a party. So, so then I just kind of really fell in love with it. And, I had always kind of incorporated cannabis in my own cooking, but, haven't done any big events. But when we was legalized in California, I was like, well, we got to throw a cool party to usher in this, new wave. So we threw this like dumpling days party where we had like a dumpling tasting from around the world of like pierogies, dumplings, baos, raviolis, just to show how like everybody kind of has their own version of a little dumpling. And dumpling's such a good stoner food. So, and from that party, that's where it kind of all started. And I was just like, this is like the coolest fun vibe because when you bring people together who are all really into cannabis, it's just different. So, yeah, so I just started doing them regularly.
Wow, what a cool way to just kick it off, and like just that entrepreneurial spirit of like, screw it, I'm just gonna go all in. I'm just gonna do 100 guests, like how amazing and inspiring to just do that. So can you share a little bit about how you made a bridge between, cooking regular food and, making edibles and bridging that, that cannabis infusion into your work?
I think the biggest shift is probably the intention. The intention when you're doing anything cannabis related, at least for me personally, it's about education. It's like, how do you make this eating experience or this consumption experience, actually empowering and educational for people? Because when people come to, one of my events, they're not just having a good time, but they're learning about their own consumption. We've all had those times where we ate that brownie and it really like messed us up. And, it's just because back then we didn't really know all that we know now about personal consumption and how to be smart about it so that you can actually have the experience you want. So, like when I'm thinking about doing edibles or making anything that people are consuming that might alter their state, like it's about like, how do I do this and how do I communicate about this food to people so that they're actually learning how to dose themselves in the future.
And were you a cannabis consumer for a long time before you bridged it into your work?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, like I remember actually not really liking edibles for a really long time because I was such an avid smoker and I was so used to that type of consumption. I knew exactly how much to smoke to feel a certain way, and with edibles, I just didn't really feel like I had that kind of control. I didn't feel like I had that kind of knowledge to do that for myself. And after a couple bad experiences, I just kind of chalked it up to, oh, I just don't do well with edibles. It just doesn't, and it does affect your body differently from, an inhalable. So, it was, so actually didn't do edibles for a really long time because of some bad experiences. But then I saw all this, new research about milligrams and dosage, and people actually started coming out with microdosed products. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting concept, because, back when I was in college and stuff, it was just like, how do you get the most amount of THC in milligrams in, one tiny bite? So that shift kind of re-invited me back into edibles. And, I was just kind of taking that kind of like precision dosage, microdose, and how do I incorporate that into like a meal form?
Right. And how do you do that like for 100 people? And how do you communicate the dosage like to those people? I think that everybody can relate to that, bad brownie experience, and that can really be a turnoff for so many people when they have that experience. I mean, I'm telling you, 9 in 10 conversations I ever have about edibles, someone tells me about this, and maybe that happens, to you too. And so I think part of being in the cannabis space and also in the culinary space and being that bridge is being someone who is like a hand holder, who can, like, you can go to who's knowledgeable in this space and is like making that bridge between people who have been scared and people who are embracing it. And the more that chefs like yourself are doing this kind of work out there in the world, the more normalized that edibles really are. And it's not just about brownies and cookies, it's also about like a whole culinary experience, which is what you present in your catering business.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And when we think about how do you present something as like interesting and complex and multifaceted as cannabis, it's not just about the psychoactive effect. There's, we talk a lot about different kind of cannabinoids and how they can all have beneficial effects for your body too. And how to incorporate we try to use the plant in so many different ways. Even, in our fire cooking events, we, use the leaves themselves that we cultivate to like, fan the fire. So it's kind of infusing that kind of herby smell too. So we just try to showcase the plant in as many different ways as possible so people can see really, what it is just another, ingredient. In fact, I'm building this event space at my house right now. It's a farm to table with cannabis concept, and that's kind of what I want to invite people to kind of see, that this beautiful plant is just growing right next to this rosemary and these strawberries and these tomatoes, and we treat it the same way, where we think about how to use this plant to nourish our bodies, and see where it comes from. So so that's something I'm really, really passionate about. It's just kind of reframing that for people, both visually and all the different senses.
Reframing that. Yes, that's exactly like the best word that you could possibly use. And you have this amazing opportunity because you live in California, which is a legal adult use state. And there's so many new adult use states coming online, and people, trying to find their way with even just like cooking at home, or, taking their love of food and crossing it into the edible space. So, what kind of advice would you give someone who is a chef who has not worked with cannabis, but really is interested in bringing that into their culinary work?
I think, at the end of the day, it's about what your guests are going to take away from the experience. So always, centering, creating that experience around that. So like, what do you want your guests to get out of, and what kind of guests do you want to even cater to? Because I think you just want to be really clear about who is this for, how is it going to go down. It's all about, making sure people have information, and there's transparency about your intentions and what to expect from your events. But also, like educating yourself too on dosage, on, there's so much resource now out there. I mean, there's could definitely still be more, but there's a lot of resources out there that really speaks to precision dosage. There's a lot of different, and really think through how you execute the event in a way where people are going to get exactly what they wanted to get out of it, because it affects everybody's body differently. Like, for example, like some of our plated dosed events where it's a mixed match of of people who are really seasoned stoners to people who have never done it before but are open and want to try, but they're a little hesitant. So we've even done where we would put some their pictures and their names next to where we're plating their plate, and have all the dosage, of the throughout the progression of the meal, to create that experience for them. So sometimes we get so hyper, specific, because we want to make sure people are gonna have a good time.
I mean, that's important. And chefs like yourself are so good at that, at being hyper specific and caring so much about every little detail. And your work is so beautiful. The food you make is so beautiful. For
Thank
those
you.
who are not yet following Wendy, you should definitely follow her. We'll include her Instagram handle for both her Instagram as well as her catering business. You should check out all of the pictures. They're so beautiful. And like, something I noticed actually while I was watching Chap 420 was how gently, at least on this side, it looks like you just like care so much about the food, and like you just like very gently lift things from over here to over there. Like, you're not in a rush, even though you're on a time schedule. And I think that that's so incredible. Like, me personally, I just have such a hard time like even making like a single meal for myself or for my wife. So like, and I'm always like, like just in the kitchen and just having like a totally different experience. And every time I make something, it's like a conscious effort to do something different, and your practice is just so it almost seems spiritual from like just witnessing it.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing compliment. Thank you. Thank you. I know, I think a couple people made that comment to me about just how calm. Even some of my competitors are like, "How are you so calm right now?" And it takes so much work. I'm like not a calm person all the time at all. I think I definitely feel a lot of intensity, both like, in happy, joyous ways and also in like fear and all in anxiety ways. So, I just, that hesitation I talked about earlier about even going on the show was like, the only way I'm gonna have a good experience and get what I want out of it is if I show up the way that I want to show up. And so, leading up till, of course, I practiced and watched Chopped. But then once I got there, I was like, I'm not watching any Chopped. I'm just relaxing. I'm taking bath. I'm smoking weed. I'm drinking weed beverages. I'm listening to meditation, affirmations. I'm doing yoga. Hi, Emily. That's my other Top 420 friend. Also, another winner. Um,
Nice.
yeah, we're the two female winners, so we
Nice.
gotta
Hi
we gotta stick
there.
together.
Thanks for joining us.
Um, yeah, so I was just like, I can't think about any kind of preparation that I've done before this. I just need to think about staying present because when you're present, you can actually tap into your creativity because your thoughts are not like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this is a terrible thing? What if this fucks up? And then you're just like thinking about all these other things that are going to take up so much mental space, and you're not able to really be creative. So I just did as much as I can to mentally prepare myself so that when I'm in the moment, I'm just trying to have fun and, create something that I'm proud of.
Well, that definitely translated on that episode of Chop 420 and does in any videos I ever see of what you're doing. It's just like, and how beautiful to be able to tap into that. That's such an important part about being a creative person is like being able to kind of like be in your body and like release all the mind chatter and just like channel, which is what you're doing with food. How have things changed since you've been on the show?
Well, for one, I made these wonderful friends who, just showed up. So that's been really amazing. We literally talk every day, in our little group chat, and, really help continue to build like a community among ourselves. We give each other advice, we tell each other, hardships that we're going through, we share joys with each other. So, just gaining a new community and family of friends. I think that's been a big change. But also, definitely there's more people like kind of recognizing me and wanting me to participate in things. And I think just more brand partnerships too. Because I think I really put it out there what I'm about. And, some brands are like, okay, cool. That kind of matches like our mission and our value, let's collab and, have you be an extension of the brand in some way. And so that's been really cool because, the whole reason why I want to be involved in food or cannabis is to really change the narratives, have the narratives be inclusive and reflective of the people who are actually, invested in the community. So, that's always my number one goal, whether it's like anything I do is like, how am I contributing to the narrative?
Right on. That's what we feel so passionate about, as well as like making sure that women in the BIPOC community are integrated into everything that we're doing in the cannabis industry. And centering those conversations is very important to us. And we're just so thankful for women like yourself representing in the space and showing up and giving your best self to this industry. And it's people like you that are working to really change the narrative of what cannabis is and what cannabis culture really is too. Um, Lastly, before we go here, can you share with us what you're working on right now? Like, what are some of your upcoming projects? Like, what kind of things are coming down the pipeline for you?
Yeah, oh my gosh, so many things. I'm always doing like a million things. So my biggest project and probably the most exciting one is the one I was talking about earlier, the outdoor kitchen garden space. So, I'm so excited. That's also been another mental challenge is like, how do I, be patient, to know that when it's, meant to happen, it's gonna happen because it's just such a massive build out, to build an event space. So, that's probably my most exciting because then I can share it with other people. I know how hard it is to find a venue as any kind of event organizers in cannabis. So I just want to have something that's like affordable, accessible, for people that, have the similar missions as me, to create space here too. So that's probably my most exciting one right now. But I just launched my chili party. Um, so if you guys haven't tried it, go to my page, make sure you order. It's delicious. So that one's exciting because it's very much a sauce and flavor that represents my hometown and where I came from. Kind of goes back to the whole, changing the narrative thing. Is like, I want people to see Chinese food the way that I see Chinese food, which is like so complex, so much history, so tasty. In that same vein, I've also started working with this amazing company and woman, Fly by Jane. I don't know if you heard of her, but she's also from my same hometown in China, and she's done an amazing job, changing the narrative and really elevating how people see Chinese food, especially Sichuan food. So I've been, partnering up with her to do some recipes and events. So it just feels very much aligned what I'm working on right now. Just very much aligned with what I wanted to accomplish, which is like aligning with the right partners who are about the same thing as me, and working towards like progressing that narrative.
That's so beautiful. Is your sauce infused?
Not yet. Sometimes it is at events. So the one that we're selling to folks is not infused right now, but we do have infused versions available at all of our events.
That is so exciting. Do you have any events coming up?
I do. I have a couple of different events coming up. A lot of private ones with brands, but I have a really fun one that I'm planning with the Chop 420 folks that just showed up. We're actually going to go to Aspen in February, and we're doing this really cool like seven deadly sin like tasting menu for like Valentine's Day weekend. So, if anyone's thinking about taking a trip to Aspen, or if you live in Aspen, come check us out. We'll post about it on my IG, so make sure you follow.
That sounds like so much fun, and I can't wait to get back to LA and like hang out and see what you're up to. Maybe come to one of your in-person events sometime. I
Yeah.
do plan on coming to LA hopefully in 2022 at some point in time. And it would be so
Yes.
great to reconnect if we could work it out. So thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate the insight into your world, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for this movement. It's so important that we know about each other's work, and we support work like and people like Wendy Zeng's work in this space. It doesn't just mean following them; it means sharing about what they're doing, and especially with those who are new to cannabis, and of course the OGs. But this is an evolution, and as states come online, whether they're medical or adult use, or other countries, it's a new wave of people who have never even been exposed to ideas like this. So it's so important that we share about each other's work. And so if you'd like to learn more about the culinary arts and edibles, we'll be talking about all of this 2 different times. Once on our clubhouse, which is this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific. And as well as next Wednesday, November 17th, we're doing our Culinary Arts Toketivity Social. We have amazing interactive sessions. You can check it all out. It is free to RSVP at toketivity.com/events. And that is from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific and 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, November 17th. So get all the details, RSVP there. And I know you're working, you're doing something awesome somewhere far away, which is great. Congratulations.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
we'll miss you. But thanks again for being with us today.
Of course, and thank you for having me on, and also thank you just for, everything y'all do with Toketivity. It's so wonderful. I love, just keeping up with all of the impact that you're making. So yeah, thank you for all the work that you do too.
Thank you so much. We care so deeply about women being like not just in the cannabis industry, but also, the consumer community. And if people and women like you and I and everybody in the Toketivity community like don't show up, like this whole thing is just gonna be taken over by one type of person. You know what I mean? So let's keep it diverse and support one another's work. And thank you again for being with us. Good luck with everything. We can't wait to catch up with you and all the Chop 420
Thank
peeps.
you.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you later.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.